Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Jennifer Parker, and today's lesson is all about the self-regulated strategy development model. And our focus is going to be on the POW+TREE strategy, or the POW+TREE. Now, SRSD emphasizes explicit instruction and gradual release of responsibility. It allows our students to move from teacher-supported to independent application of learning strategies. It also teaches important self-regulation skills such as goal setting, self-monitoring, self-talk, and more importantly, self-reinforcement. So the SRSD model consists of 6 stages. In your first stage, you develop your background knowledge. In the second stage, you talk about it, you discuss it. In the third stage, you move into modeling that strategy. By the fourth stage, the students are pretty much ready to memorize it. Then you move on to the fifth stage where you are standing back a little bit and supporting that strategy. And finally, in stage 6, you're hoping that they will establish independent practice. Now, these stages are flexible and recursive, meaning teachers may revisit earlier stages as needed to support student learning. There are a couple of things you need to note about SRSD. The stages are not linear. Also of note is that retention can sometimes be the biggest challenge. So be prepared for each stage because it might require a little bit of a booster session to reinforce the learning. So today we're going to focus on stage 3 modeling. Modeling is one of the most powerful parts of SRSD because students need to see what writing looks like in real time. Why does modeling work? Well, because students first watch you do it, and then they try it with your support. So this 2-step modeling lowers the risk of failure, it builds confidence, and it normalizes writing as a process. Students are going to watch, they're going to learn, they're going to build confidence, and they're going to fail safely, which results in embedding that strategy in their thinking routines. Now, the best way to describe SRSD implementation is the I do, we do, and then you do method, where the teacher models, then the students and the teacher do it together, and then the student flies out of the nest on their own to try it independently. Now, during the I do stage, I share the task as the teacher. I talk it through, I show my revisions, and I'm talking through my thinking as I model the strategy. Then I gradually release my responsibility to my students in the we do phase. And this is an opportunity for students to share ideas, or they can teach and model for each other. I often ask students a guiding question and add their ideas to a board. And I continue to prompt them with a question to help them get to the needed practice. Finally, at the you do stage, they're ready to fly on to their next adventure using the strategy. Now let's see how stage 3 works. Today I'm going to model how a student can use the SRSD writing strategy, the POW+TREE, to write a persuasive paragraph. Now the approach would benefit students who struggle with organizing their ideas or getting started with writing assignments. The use of acronyms like POW+TREE provides a structured approach to mental thinking maps. It also helps students focus on generating and supporting their ideas. That strategy becomes a habit or a part of their thinking routines. It becomes a part of their learning. I start out the POW+TREE by beginning with providing students with a visual cue, like a poster on the board or a visual organizer like the one you see here, the POW+TREE strategy. And as I begin to model the strategy and write, I'm going to think aloud so students can hear the decisions I make as a writer. The goal is to show students not only what to do, but also the process of thinking through that writing process. So, next, I introduce the prompt. So, students, our writing prompt today is, should elementary students have longer recess periods? I'm going to use the POW+TREE to help me organize my thinking before I begin writing. Next, I'm going to model Pick My Idea. The first step to pick my idea is to pick my idea or my opinion. I'm thinking, what do I believe about this topic? I think students should have longer recess periods. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to write down my opinion. Students should have longer recess periods. So I write it down. Sometimes it can be hard to choose an opinion, but I only need to pick the one side and support it with my good reasons. So as I'm thinking about it, I really do think students should have longer recess periods. So I'm going to go with that as my opinion on this topic. So I write it down. I think students should have longer recess periods. Now next, I'm going to organize my notes using the tree model. I'm going to, first of all, topic sentences. That's got to state my opinion pretty clearly. So, let me write a topic sentence. How about students should have longer recess periods at school? Let me write that out. As I'm thinking aloud, I'm thinking, I want my reader to know exactly what I believe right away. Does that do that for me? Students should have longer recess periods at school. I think that pretty confidently states my opinion. So yes, I'm ready to move forward. Next, the R in tree. I need reasons to support my opinion. Let's write it out. Let's start with students get more exercise, or students return to class more focused, or students have opportunities to build social skills. Let me write those all down. As I'm checking to make sure all my reasons support my opinion, do they? Students get more exercise when they go out to recess. Students return to class more focused. Students have opportunities to build social skills. Is that why they're out there? Do these reasons match my topic sentence? Yeah, I think they do. I think I'm ready to move on. All right, we're to the E in tree. Explain my reasons. Now I need to explain each and every reason. So let's start with reason 1. Students get more exercise. Well, I really think that more exercise helps students stay healthy and active. I really believe that, and I think that supports that reason, students get more exercise. I need another reason. Well, I thought of the reason students return to class more focused. How about when students move around during recess, they're often better able to concentrate in class afterward. So that's what I wrote. Then I was looking for a third reason. And that third reason from the R, now I'm looking to explain it, why I feel that way. That third reason was students have opportunities to build social skills. My rationale is that playing with classmates helps students learn cooperation, helps them learn communication, and helps them learn problem-solving skills. So I've got my topic sentence, I've got my reasons, and I've got my explanation so far for my tree method. Next, we move on to the final E. Ending. My ending should remind the reader of my opinion. Now, my opinion is that all students need more recess. Let's start out here with, let's think of an ending. For these reasons, elementary students should have longer recess periods. I think that wraps it up in a nice little bow. It kind of takes it to kind of summarizes what I said. And when I think about it, my ending needs to connect back to my original opinion. So I think this does that. So I think I've modeled my tree. I think I've hit all of my tree and organized my thoughts. So now that my plan's complete, I think I'm ready to write my paragraph. I'm going to go ahead and write my paragraph, and I'm going to share it with you. Here's what I wrote. What do you think? Students should have longer recess periods at school. First, longer recess allows students to get more exercise, which helps keep them healthy and active. Second, students often return to class more focused after having time to move around and take a break. And third, recess gives students opportunities to develop important social skills such as cooperation and communication. For these reasons, elementary students should have longer recess periods. I'm checking to make sure I included every part of the tree. I have a topic sentence. I have 3 reasons, explanations, and an ending. I think I did it. I achieved my goal. In this session, we spotlighted stage 3, modeling in a self-regulated strategic development model. To demonstrate stage 3, I chose the POW+TREE strategy to plan and write a persuasive paragraph. Although we were talking about elementary recess, this strategy helps writers organize their thinking, remember the important parts, and begin to develop their persuasive writing skills. As students become more familiar with that strategy, they certainly can use it independently and respond to opinion writing prompts. As you think about your own professional practice, consider the importance of explicit instruction and how students can use self-regulation to empower their own use of learning strategies, like what we saw here in the POW+TREE. See you next time.